Oh, that does not sound healthy. You know, you can diagnose a little bit from where it is something sat for 2 years. Like the puddle that was sitting, so if this is the tire, that is underneath the engine casing right there. So I'm gonna bet this is all motor oil. And then up here, we've got rust sheets that have fallen off from the inside of the deck. And the makings of mouse piss soup. Well, let's go see what kind of condition this thing is in. There we are, we made it home. So, remember we saw that patch that I showed you? It has almost no oil whatsoever in it. So we've got some oil here. This thing is basically a walk behind, zero turn type idea. And the reason why it's here is because a friend of mine asked me to take a look. And he does landscaping and he does plowing and construction and a little bit of everything. But the story is, 2 years ago, he kept replacing this belt. And every time he would replace it, it basically decided to eat a belt or throw the belt or something along those lines. After 2 years of the machine sitting, here I'll post up a picture of what it looked like when I went to look the other day. After 2 years of it sitting, he got a hold of me and asked me if I would do him a favor and take a look at it. So here we are. It's a Kohler Command 14. It's a Toro hydro drive system. If I can find out what this thing is actually called, I will post up that name here, or I'll add it to the title of this video. And it's got a few little riggery type things in it, but for the most part it looks to be mostly original. So I'm going to add in some oil, throw you guys into the tripod, and we're going to see what we can do for a first start. Now, I did try to turn it over while we were sitting there, but after 2 years of Maine winter and stuff like that, and this battery doesn't look in the best of conditions anyway, I don't think there's much hope for it, but we'll see. This cooler here is for the hydraulics. It's not for the motor, since I know that's going to be a question that's going to come up once this video goes live. So this motor looks pretty janky, so I'm not going to load it up with a ton of fuel, ton of oil, because I don't see any reason to put nice, good stuff. It is bone dry as far as the gas tank is concerned, but it was sitting in an open area where it was in direct sunlight, so the gas might have just plain evaporated off. We'll find out. There, we put a little bit in. Now, the hydraulic fluid in it seems to actually be in really good condition. The deck itself seems to be pretty solid. And I can turn and spin all of the blades. It's not rust welded together like I would usually expect for something like this. The the idler piece does not move. I'll have to work on that if I can get this thing running. And I just saw something dripping just now. What was that I just saw dripping? We've got gasoline dripping out of the carb already. So that would happen to go and tell me that as far as the gas is concerned, the carburetor is shot. Which we basically expect anyway on something like this. But these carburetors aren't too bad to replace. So... Alright, so on this Hulkman, you hold these two buttons to go into override mode. And it pops up a ready symbol. And we'll see if it'll actually do anything. I don't know if there's any safeties or anything I have to bounce around here. Well, that was almost promising. Alright, let's try and kick it one more. Yeah, no, that's not doing any good. So that... Alright, well, I'm sorry if I bounce you guys around. We're on the trailer because I'd really rather drive this thing off than have to deal with monkeying with it. This is my latest little toy that I got sent by a sponsor called KIMO. And it's just a little 12-volt ratchet. They claim it's supposedly 40 pounds worth of whatever. I would say that probably the 40 pounds is a little bit on the lying side. But it makes stuff like this really quick and easy. And while we're at it, so right now I've shut the fuel off. And we're going to pull this off so we can see what we've got going on in this carburetor. Yeah, rust in the top of that is never a good indication. That's a bad sign. I don't know who came up with the idea that these should be this long in order to unscrew, but they need some engineering background. Okay, there's that. That filter's not too bad. It's a little bit, but not bad. Alright. So at this point, I'm going to hope this will fold back, which it does. And there's plenty of give to the hoses. I'll see if this will move. Oh, that does not sound healthy. That's got something going on compression-wise. There it goes. There. Okay. We'll go get a bottle, baby. And sorry for shaking you guys up. We'll see what happens. Alright, so at this point, we've got it set for full choke. I'm going to set this to on. Plug it in. Give it some bottle. I've got the fuel shut off at this point. And let's see if it'll do something. I was debating it. Okay, so we're gonna open up our fuel cutoff now. Give it a little bit of bottle, baby. And see if it'll run on its own fuel line. See that right there says forward, pull for reverse. I got nothing there. The story I got was it run and drove and just kept throwing deck belts. But that does not look very connected to me. So we'll get that put back together and then we'll see if it'll do something. And that dripping is the carburetor that you can see. That thing definitely needs a rebuild. We'll go from there. We'll get that put back on. Further on the episode of calling BS on this thing running and driving. So, anytime you have something with an electric clutch, like that big behemoth in there, you have to have a lockup bar that comes down to it, either a pin or a lock-in bar. In this case, the lock-in on this one is on the far side towards the front, which means there was no way that this belt was actually on that because the lock-in bar was in the way of it ever being there. So now that we got that on, we've got it around this pulley, we've got it over here, we've got our tensioner loosened up so that this will pull this way and the spring will come across to that. Everything goes right. We'll see if this thing actually moves. What do you think, John? Do you think it's cool?
Interesting.
It's interesting? Why do you think it's interesting?
The controls are a little weird.
Yeah, they are a little weird.
One there and then it's supposed to move like that.
Alright, let's see if it'll run. Go ahead and stop on me.
I'm already started. Daddy, you broke it.
Uh-oh.
You broke it, Daddy.
Well, why did that happen? Uh-oh. We need a battery pack.
Yeah, I think we do.
Well, I think the problem is the deck is actually too low. It's set to the ultra low setting. We're going to try this once more. But I think what's going to happen is tomorrow I'm going to jack the deck up to the height that I think it really should be. Let me grab a booster pack. I'll be right back.
There goes the belt.
So what we have here is the classic case of bigger is not always better. Why was it throwing the belt? Because the belt was just too bloody big. It was a 5/8 belt. It needed a 70-inch, half-inch belt. A 5/8 belt was just too big. The other thing is, that belt had been oil soaked to the point it had swollen. It was almost insane the amount that belt had swollen. At this point, I'm going to send this back. He's going to run it. It needs blades. It needs to go and have the motor done. This motor is massively on its way out. But thanks to him, you guys ended up with some video, and we had a new experience working on something different on the channel. Fuzz and I, signing out. Right, Fuzz? Yep, got it stuck. Oh, there we go.